Yeah.
And you know, so many of us over the years have had the chance to sit with Eric. We have got to spend the past year just working with him on nearly every day and getting to become very close friends, family. We are a family here, but his family extends to so many. One of those being Sheba, who sat on, you know, the anchor desk with him for so many years. I know you started not on the anchor desk with him,
behind
but
the scenes.
That
Sheba,
friendship is
full
beautiful.
Circle career.
Yeah, and welcoming her now.
Sorry to meet you guys on these terms, and kudos to you for being able to do this. Eric deserves this tribute and more. I just have to hold it together for a couple of seconds. But yeah, I started WWL at 22 as Eric's writer, and anyone who's written for Eric knows what that experience.
Yes, indeed.
We didn't, but we get it.
Oh, and Sheba, that was back in the day. He mellowed out over the years, so you heard some words behind the word you chose.
But you know, we bonded because I was as feisty as him. We fought from day one.
Of course.
And I always respected that. And, you know, he later went on to tell me that he respected how much I stood up to him and stood up for myself. But it was a unique relationship for me. Most people I'm, you know, very mellow with. With Eric, we all had this space where we felt comfortable to debate, to fight, to share our true experiences. He was one of the few people I could be my full self with. And that was one of my favorite things about Eric. That is who he was. He was going to be Eric for good or for bad, no matter where he was and who he was with. And I know you guys know that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about him too. It's so interesting that, you know, we've sat here at different times with him, different moments in his life, and we have that same connection through Eric of, you better be yourself unapologetically, and if you're not, he's going to call it out.
For you, Sheba, that couldn't have been easy, though. I want to ask you, stepping into this role, replacing the legendary Sally Ann Roberts, to sit next to Eric, and to do so at a relatively young age, there was a lot of catching up to do. I mean, talk to me about that transition for you and the level of growth and ultimately what you have become now. Just share that with us.
You know, I wouldn't have been able to do it without Sally and Eric. I was very young. Stepping onto that anchor deck, I was 24 years old. There were many times I was nervous. I didn't feel confident enough in myself back then. And it was Eric and Sally. Anytime I showed the least bit of not feeling confident or not feeling good enough or not feeling ready enough, they were like, hey, wait, you are absolutely ready for this. You are going to yourself. That is why you were there. My journey exists without them. The breaking news, the growth, the areas that I needed strengthened came from imitating Sally and Eric. Sally was one of the first people I called today to check on her, and I ended up crying and she ended up praying over me. That's just who he is, and that's just who Eric is. As much as he could teach people and as much as we fought on TV, when I had hard days, when I didn't feel confident, Eric put aside the jokes. He was the first one to be like, hold on. Know who you are and always remember that and walk in that.
That's beautiful. And I know that you have been in touch with him, you know, during this past month when it's been really difficult. And you've also spoke with Bethany. We all love Bethany so much, and she is enduring so much. She shouldn't have to. Just wondering if you have any thoughts or words you'd like to share.
Yeah, you know, once I found Eric was sick, I am really sad I didn't. We never much, but we started talking again every few days. And, you know, one of the last spoke, he was actually preparing his speech. And his one line, come back with you guys. And he was like, let me read some of it. Like, let me tell you all the funny things I have to say when I come back. He was so excited to be rejoined both. Of course, I've spoken to Beth as well. And I do want people to remember, as much as Eric is an icon to the city of New Orleans, the city close as his home, the love of his life was Bethany Paulsen, and he never let you. Even when I left to go to LA and I was battling, like, what do I do with life? I love New Orleans. This is my home. How do you decide when to move up, when to stay, what to do in your journey? I always asked him, why did you stay in New Orleans? When I knew you had opportunities to do more, his answer was always Bethany. He had no regrets in life because his journey brought him to the love of his life. And I always say, that's really everything I needed to know about him. Love, as much as he was feisty and he loved to fight and he loved animals and he loved storytelling, Eric had the biggest heart. He was a big lover, and you saw that wife and his 3 children. He was such a softie. People would probably, who would cry first, Eric will cry all the time. If you brought up Bethany or kid, he was going to cry. He loved them, and I know that love lives on through them.
Sheba, I want to ask you, just as we wrap up this conversation here and sharing so many memories about Eric and talking about his personality, What's the lesson here? What have you learned from it?
So much. Eric's lesson for me, though, is you have to enjoy life. It's never easy. Eric, like everybody else, went through rough patches in life, had crazy stories, things we'll never tell on air. You know, we knew each other very well. What I learned was you laugh. You find reasons to laugh. You make yourself laugh. You fight for the right to laugh, because as we look at, and he loved to put a wig on. Laugh and enjoy your life, because you can't wait for it to be perfect. Crazy stuff is always going to happen. And I think he also taught me, I remember he also used to say, like, I've worked with so many people. You'd be surprised the people who you think are going to be friends for life, and then you never talk to them again. So I think he taught me you value when you find a friend. It's not going to be perfect. When you find a real friend, you value them. You always know they feel special. And I think today has been a little bit for me, because I always, even through this, you know, all the kept in touch.
I should say we're having a hard time hearing you, Sheba. You're breaking up just a little bit.
I think if they can, I think there's some music that was under the picture they played, and so it's interfering with her sound. It's like taking away from hers, but I think that stopped. So maybe just finish what you're saying, Sheba, there, and I think we can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't feel real to me yet. It's been, you know, I've talked to a lot of people today, and I think even in going to talk about him today, I've accidentally almost texted him several times. I think this is going to a while for me to realize, like, my friend is really gone. Eric, living in Los Angeles, was one of the first people I called about anything big that happened in my life, anything small that happened in my life. And especially since we'd started talking even more to see how he was doing, it just doesn't feel real. I don't feel like tomorrow I can't call Eric, and I know that's going to be a hard reason for me to pick. He just was such a big personality and a fun personality, and he made you feel so loved and was such a good friend. I don't think I've come to terms yet that that's
Yeah, we understand that. Well, we can't even come close to him, but if you need someone, we'll be here. Just send us a text, girl. We got you. I wish I could give you a hug from there, because I just know we're all in the same boat, missing our friend. But we're so grateful that we got a chance to talk with you and, you know, hear, you know, who Eric was to you. It was really special. Thanks for sharing that with us.
And I hope you know this, Sheba. He was so proud of you. The city is so proud of you. Eric was so proud of you.
Eric loved you. Yeah, he told us too all the time about that. So yeah.
Well, I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you for doing this. I know this is hard for you guys to do. Sorry that we met like, but always around and here was for us. We wouldn't be here without him. We wouldn't.
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That means in his tribute, we'll have to get Cosmos in LA.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheba.
See you then.